Hey, hi, Saurabh.
Hi, hi. So good to see you.
Yeah, same here, same here. Thank you for organizing this. I'm really excited about it.
So we start with introductions, and since the purpose here is to show you different use cases and to help you identify like which kind of chatbot is good for you, how you can know like which works, which does not works. So like let's do an introduction in a different way. Like typically people start with introduction, but I'll try to introduce myself through a chatbot. Okay, so here is a chatbot of me. It says that it is my clone and it asks a name. So say let's start a chat. So you say, hey, I'm Sam. Hi Sam. Okay. So it says I'm Saurabh assistant. This is what I do. And now suppose Sam wants to know a bit more about me. So can you tell a bit more about yourself? Okay, so it's just saying, like short in my experience and what I'm working on right now. Does it looks interesting? So I was talking about the personal assistants. We all can have assistant like that. Okay, now if say someone says like, okay, let's get on a call. Maybe Wednesday. Okay, so it gives a calendar link. Pretty simple, right? So this was one example that we can have a chatbot as a personal assistant. This is answering queries on a web interface, but similarly we can have integration on WhatsApp, on Instagram, on Slack with few clicks. Okay, so I'll show all of that. So these are some very popular use cases. We typically have chatbots for customer support, for sales assistance, for bookings. Like even those who are independent consultants, they can have a chatbot where through which people can book. Those who provide coaching and all, or provide counseling. So you can have a chatbot for booking and reservations, for lead generation, feedback collection, information retrieval. Now this is one use case everyone has to deal with almost daily. Like we go through a new research paper or a book, we want to learn a book, and typically these days everyone takes help of a chatbot. Like you'll upload it on a NotebookLM, or you'll use ChatGPT or Perplexity. Okay, but information retrieval is one very, very common use case for everyone. Then we have for e-learning platforms, technical support systems. Okay, now the thing is, like, let's start straight away. Let's get to that if you want to actually pick a chatbot for your use case, how do you actually test it? How do you know it is the right one? And so here there are some broad guidelines. For example, if we are talking about information retrieval, it is very important. The information should retrieve the information accurately. Very commonly what chatbots do is, while processing information, they'll miss something, and they may also hallucinate. And I'll show you all that. Okay, it should understand your queries. It should also be able to handle ambiguous or vague requests, right? This is very important for information retrieval. So I'll just like to people to pitch in to you. You can either type in the chat, or you can just speak up. Like which is use case relates to you more. So I'll drive the conversation accordingly for this session.
Yeah, for us, I think it is e-learning platform and information retrieval. So essentially, trying to figure
Information
out.
retrieval
Yeah, and
essentially
also,
everyone needs. Yeah.
yeah, and also content marketing. Sometimes I ask Perplexity for basically content
Yes.
marketing.
Lead
Yeah,
generation.
also lead generation. Yes, lead generation.
So here it is important how it can gather information, like it can qualify lead, and it routes inquiries. Even if you're a solopreneur, like routing inquiries, okay, that's a small part, but lead qualification, I think, is a very important part.
Also, e-commerce assistance. Yes.
Sales assistance. By the way, I work as chief strategy officer for a company which is in loans. We provide loans against securities. So we provide loans digitally. We have a complete digital platform to disburse loans. Now, a lot of people enter into a loan journey and applying and up to the withdrawal process. There are several steps that you have to. For example, you have to link your bank account, you have to complete KYC and all. So people tend to drop in that. So sales assistance, this is we've worked very heavily on this. Okay, so I'll discuss this briefly, Anna. So yeah, so let's go ahead. So like here, there are broad parameters like for every use case. How do we actually know that it's working? It differs slightly for every use case. Like for sales assistance, it should have, like it should be able to suggest them related uh, products. It should be able to help them throughout the sales journey. People can abandon the cart, or people even after adding in a cart, people may add something in wish list and move on. So whatever steps are in the sales journey, the chatbot should be aware of them, and it should be able to give recommendations, handle user queries throughout the journey. Okay, so cool. So let us start with information retrieval, because that is primarily what everyone works on. So I'll share with two examples. One is here I'm sharing a NotebookLM we all love. So what I've done here, like I was studying trading psychology. So what I did is I uploaded all my favorite books on trading psychology here. Okay, and now I can learn. I can ask about any concept, anything practical, and it will answer based on the knowledge of all these books. These are, some top books on trading psychology. For example, I say Indian market is too volatile. Okay, so this is very, very, important use case about NotebookLM. We can upload a single paper, we can upload a single document, but we can also upload a lot of books altogether. Okay, I'll show you one more good example. Give me market commentary. So whatever action that is happening in the market, I can ask it to help me understand that action also in terms of psychology. Okay, so we have here like okay, so it is talking about all factors in terms of psychology, right?
Saurabh, yeah, I have actually tried it and I already have a question. When you're talking about the chatbots, the notebook chatbots, obviously, whatever information, whatever sources you'll just feed in to it, it'll give answer based on that, right? Sometime it probably takes up from the citations also. The citations, let's say, for example, you add an article which has links to other sources, right? I've seen it pick up information from those links as well. Have you seen that?
Yes, exactly. We can add documents, we can add links, we can add a lot of things, right?
Yeah, I mean, if your source particularly has some citations, right? So it'll have some text, it'll have some citations, it'll be just quoting some other examples and stuff like that. It usually goes all the way to those links as well, and then grabs data from that. So that was one of the things which I wanted to confirm. The second is when we are looking at these chatbots, just quickly asking, are we looking at the implementation side of it, or what kind of chatbots we are building? Because say, for example, I have a website for my company, and I want to build a chatbot for lead generation. Would it be the same concept of adding the services or asking those right questions?
Yes. So we look into that, like, but like the chat. This session is more focused how to compare and how to benchmark them. because there are too many options available. So to give you a quick peek, okay, I created a sheet, right? So there are like more than 20 chatbots available where you don't need to code anything. You can just sign up. Let me show one actually, since we are discussing. Let me just show one quickly. Okay, so
just
Chatbase.
a quick one is like, how is NotebookLM better than say Perplexity or any other model?
We'll come to that. We'll come to this. Let us just finish up with the use cases. Okay, then we'll see how these chatbots actually work, and then we'll come to comparing them, because understanding how these chatbots work is very important before we actually go about benchmarking and comparing them. Okay, so Chatbase is it's a fast growing company. They have around $6 million ARR. I'm not related to Chatbase in any way. I don't have affiliate partnership or any sort of association with them. I've just picked Chatbase because it is a popular service, and we see that they're proudly saying that even companies like Siemens, Postman, they are using their services. Okay, so I'll show you now. By the way, what is the pricing? So what Chatbase allows you is to on a very small amount you can set up your chatbot, and you can integrate it quickly with like Zapier, Slack, WordPress. If you've integrated with Zapier, then you have like thousands of other integrations also with WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram. So, and this is like just one of the service providers here. So I've created a list. There are lots and lots of service providers where you can set up a chatbot in say hardly 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So I'll just show you how all of them work. They work similar to NotebookLM only. Okay, so I'm in Chatbase and I'll click on, let's close this. Yeah, so I'll click on say new agent, and here I'll drop a file. So what I did is, for this session, I created a file about Zoho CRM. It has information about Zoho CRM, a very popular product. I'll upload this. Yeah. So this is exactly what we do in Notebook, right? We upload a source, and so it is training. Meanwhile, let's go to something else also. Let's do the same thing in Perplexity also. Okay, so I'll create a space in Perplexity. I'll call it say Zoho CRM. I'm not associated with Zoho, by the way. Just trying to use some common brands, some common products which people can relate with. Continue. Add file. So it will take some time to, like, say 4-5 minutes. Typically a chatbot takes to process the data, whatever we've shared with them. Yeah, Perplexity is faster. So yeah, analytics, sources. Yeah, so these are the tabs we can mention here. The sources, it could be website. You can just type in Q&A. You can connect your Notion. Some chatbots also allow, like for example, Perplexity allows you to connect with Google Drive and all. So these kind of integrations, typically all these chatbots have. You can have some, you can create some actions based on the context. If you're using it for sales or support, then settings. Okay, so yeah. So playground is the part where we can ask. So say if I ask it what is so it will answer from the document. Now let us come back to Perplexity. This is done. I'll do one more thing in settings. I'll turn off this include web by default. Okay, so because I wanted to answer questions from the document only, not from anything from the web. Now there is also another thing, instructions. So we can ask a chatbot to behave in a particular way. So Perplexity gives this option to set up instructions. NotebookLM, it also gives you in the paid version, and Chatbase everything does. For example, if I ask it to always respond in say casual tone with lot of smileys, okay. So it will answer in this particular tone. Now I ask the same thing. What is Zoho? So it's working the same way. You see, NotebookLM, Perplexity, Chatbase, they are all working in same way. So now see, it's coming in a lot of. Let me just give something to kind of surprise everyone here. So I'll just I'll just show you the ranking of different chatbots. Okay, so for this session I just included 7 of them: NotebookLM, Perplexity, OpenAI Playground, Chatbase, Botpress. There is Kommunicate, Copilot. Now you see Chatbase, where does it score? It scores 52. Notebook is scoring 84. It's not scoring 95 or 100, and Chatbase is scoring 52. That's a low number, right? But what I showed you is that like large companies like Siemens, they are Siemens, and they are using Chatbase. Okay, so I'll show you. Here is some summary. If we say about absolute correct answers, which chatbot gives the maximum number of absolute correct answers, then Perplexity Space with the model GPT 4.1, it's coming first, and it gave close to 2/3 answers absolutely right out of 33 questions. If we talk about overall accuracy, then NotebookLM is coming first. Okay, and we talk about Chatbase, it looks little poor here. But what I just showed you is a lot of large companies are using Chatbase. So now that is why I was saying it is very important to understand how these these work actually, how these chatbots are working.
Saurabh,
Yeah.
first of all, that's pretty interesting. Can you share what is the basis for the percentages? Just out of
I'll do.
curiosity.
That was a teaser. That was a teaser to get you all hooked.
You
I'll come
teased
back to
me.
it.
You teased me.
Yes. Okay. So this is what to test. I showed you very briefly. For every specific use case, the test has to be different. So Chatbase, even though it was scoring low in my test, it is preferred by a lot of people. Why? Because it may serve well for their particular use case. This is very important to understand. What to test? There is a slight difference in all. Now, how do these chatbots work? We need to understand this. Almost all chatbots these days are RAG-based systems, and like this is, I'll just give you a very high-level understanding of all the steps that are involved in a when we actually interact with the chatbot. So first step is obviously processing knowledge base. So here I'm. By the way, can we very quickly know like who all are like technical people here, like who are into coding and software engineering? So coming back to the steps. So first is processing a knowledge base, like whatever documents we are giving them, we need to give them information, whether we are training a chatbot for sales or for support or anything. The first step is always we need to give them information, and when we give them information, there is something background. There's something happens called chunking, vector embeddings, indexing, and all. So basically, the PDF I uploaded for the Zoho CRM, it will process that and put into its database. Very simply called that. Then after that, the second step is user query processing. Okay, so whatever you ask, it has to understand your prompt. That is important. Only that way it will be able to answer properly. It should understand what you're asking for. So there is text normalization, language detection, embeddings, and all again that come into place. Then retrieval. Okay, so RAG stands for retrieval, augmentation, and generation. So retrieval, they retrieve information, they augment it and they generate the response. This is what happens in all of them. Okay, so retrieval, that they form a similarity search. Like if I'm saying like what is Zoho, and what I uploaded was almost 200 a huge document about Zoho. So it should know like which say which chunks, or say which blocks of information actually talk about they give information about what is Zoho. So they have to do some kind of searches. They have to retrieve the top and most relevant information, right? Then context assembly, the top and retrieve passages, they have to they have to be combined into a final prompt, that which of these are relevant for the user query. Okay, so what is Zoho? I asked them. There may be, let's say, 20 or 30 answers from the database, and it has to understand from that which is most relevant. Then generation. Now this is like the response. So what they do is they send it to a large. They send it to LLM like GPT or Grok and all. Okay, and so they combine the using that they send a prompt that okay, this is the user query, this is the information. Based on that, you generate a final response. Then after that, there is some post processing also. Typically, they'll filter for hallucination. All good chatbots would do this. So yeah, and then there is response delivery as well. Like they should ask follow-up questions. Like I was showing you my own chatbot, so at the end it was asking a follow-up question, like what do you want to know next, so this step is also important. And it should format it. For example, it should give some clickable resources and all. Now we were talking about why do these chatbots lose information. If we are talking about accuracy, say in a very generic, in a non-technical way, see whether it is whether the chatbot is for customer support or e-commerce or lead generation or content creation, the information should be correct and it should be accurate. That is the prime concern, and this is why that accuracy is lost. Okay, when they are processing the information, something may be lost. When they are trying to process the user query, something may be lost. When they are trying to retrieve, they may not be able to retrieve perfectly. Okay, when they are generating the response, they are creating a context assembly, then some information may be lost. In post processing also it may be lost. Okay, so this is why we were seeing that kind of some people may be surprised by these kind of figures. Okay, how accurate. So NotebookLM around 84, 85, and Chatbase around 52. So I'll go into like how I'm coming up with this. We'll look into this, but like I was just telling you the basics. This is very important to understand how these work. All of them work in the same way. And like I told you, you should be confident that you can create a chatbot in hardly 5 or 10 minutes. You can integrate it with WhatsApp or your Slack, and it can start answering questions from there. And almost all the chatbot providers, they give you a free trial, so you can try it out for free before actually going ahead with a paid plan. Sounds good?
Knowledge base for any chatbot, which could be the Word document, could be a PDF, could be links and stuff. I think somewhere I noticed when I was looking in NotebookLM, there was videos as well that you can source from, but usually they just take the transcript out of it. Right. So so anything you have, any input you have about that? Anything you want to share? Your experience?
Yes. So I think so. If I understand your question right, you're asking that how does it processes different sources of information? Is it that?
Yeah, I think my question is in like whatever information I have, it could be in different form. It could be MP3, it could be audio, it could be PDF and things like that. It could be just a website which I want to pull out information from, right? For a simple it's likely it depends on what you're using as an architecture behind that how it's processing it.
Yes.
But how capable you want to make it, that's where I was saying that
okay, how capable we can make it. Okay, so then we have to go to chatbot architecture. And if you're talking about architecture, then these things come into place. So I touched them very briefly because most people here are not from a technical background. Okay, so processing knowledge base, it's they have like so chunking is one part of the processing. Like say I'm giving them a 200-page PDF, so it has to be chunked. Like the information has to be breaking into blocks or pieces. Okay, vector embedding, so it has to be put into the database in in a particular format, let us say, and that format also matters a lot based on how fast it can search and retrieve that information, and how accurately it can retrieve that information, and there has to be indexing. Now, for example, whenever we ask a question, like I showed you in that NotebookLM, I had so many books, so collectively they must be more than 2,000 pages. Okay, now if the chatbot every time has to go through all those 2,000 pages to answer my question, that will take a lot of time. And so indexing, so it depends, and like there's like no limit. Like people at NotebookLM, they are at a very very different level than people who have built Chatbase, or people who have built Fastbots or any other simpler system. Okay, so NotebookLM is the best. Like I showed you, NotebookLM comes first if we are talking about how accurate it is able to retrieve information from the sources, because it has been created that way. Its primarily use case is information retrieval, and like to a notebook, like you can learn things from it. Okay, so Poonam, was I able to answer you?
Yes, Saurabh. I thought I was on mute, but yeah. Yeah, you answered me perfectly. Maybe we'll do one next section where we'll say how can we integrate notebook itself in a website, because do you really call it a chatbot, to be honest? That's new to me.
Actually, if someone asks me, then I'll say, see, one of the use cases here is yeah, I'll come back to this browser. So technical support systems, like we are in fintech and we provide some technical support to our clients, and for that notebook is perfect. Okay, then we are we are a fintech, so we come under regulatory compliance. We cannot allow our chatbots to hallucinate, to provide wrong answers, and notebook is top of the class on that. Okay, so yeah, notebook is actually for many use cases, notebook would be the best choice to create a chatbot. But there is a challenge. Notebook has not yet exports their APIs. You can interact with notebook only through this interface. There are workaround also. Some people have tried that, but a lot of people like me are waiting desperately. When would these people they'll release their APIs actually?
Okay, I'll just give you one example. I don't want to distract a lot from the session, but I think remember one of the report Energy and AI that I shared long time ago, and those people they made, I think it's about 400-page report, and on the interface where people can download the PDF and everything, on the website they had the chatbot obviously to answer Q&A with the PDF. It looked exactly like notebook. To be honest, I thought it was probably notebook, but I don't know. It was a chatbot, so maybe inspired.
So Chatbase also looks very same. We should not say inspired by, because like almost all of these chatbots, they have similar components. We will not say they have similar architecture, but they have similar components.
Okay. Thank you.
You are. Okay, so this is what we were talking. Like there is a RAG-LLM, a chatbot where we feed a knowledge base, and we also discussed that we may also give a personality to that, custom instructions. Like I can ask it to answer it in formal tone or informal tone, or I can instruct it to answer as Saurabh or anyone else, or if you have a company, you can make it answer as a support assistant. Okay, so these are the components we were talking about, and of course, if you're actually a small business, this is what you'll need. So one-click integrations, a lot of these chatbots, they allow commercial chatbots, they allow one-click integration. Like if you have to integrate it with your website, it's just one click. You just add one single line of code on the website, and it's there. Or if you want to integrate it with your WhatsApp, you just put up your WhatsApp number. It asks some certain permissions from Meta, and as simple as that, you can set it up on WhatsApp. Same for Slack also, Instagram also. And email, you can set them up through Zapier. So Zapier allows like thousands of other integrations. So once you've integrated with Zapier, so the entire world is open based on whatever event is happening. Some action, you can take action. You can from Zapier actually. Okay, so this is what we just discussed. Huh? And if you're talking about now, let us just talk about how companies do this. Okay, so like I was telling that I am in the space of fintech, where we cannot work with 80% accuracy or 90% accuracy. We'll need 95% accuracy when we are handling clients for when we are handling our actual clients. So this is this is all more detailed components which typically are along with LLM based chatbot. Typically enterprises also have a NLP based chatbot that will answer queries, that will not actually generate queries from AI. It will answer up, it will respond with preset preset answers actually. Like someone says what is Zoho, so the answer would already be fed. Someone says like what is your price, the answer would already be fed. It would be just sent as it is without being generated. So this is what a lot of fintech do, that they'll separate the compliant, the regulatory part and the non-regulatory part. For generic questions, generic discussions, they'll take help of AI, but responses which are compliance sensitive, they'll they'll answer them using NLP. Okay, and then of course if either of them fails to answer, then a ticket would be raised for human support. Okay, then
So
we are
can
talking
this
about
NLP engine be integrated in notebook itself? एक तो RAG हो गया, one is RAG, which is
so this is a custom chatbot architecture. Like any of the like commercial like plug and play solution will not give you. I'm just showing you this way, like how businesses work. Any business who has to meet a certain criteria of accuracy, they build their own chatbot. Okay, because a lot of answers have to be cached, a lot of queries have to be cached in the system, have to be pre-written, predefined.
Saurabh, I have one question here. Sorry if I may interject. How do you put in, and you mentioned here prompt guardrails, but how do you put in access control? So for example, let's say you don't want the sales team to read the documents or, that is probably meant for the project teams, or if you don't want the project teams to read documents or get access to information that is meant for the sales teams. How do you do that? Because that's becoming a little more challenging.
Yes, very good question. So so we create a metadata, like all companies, they create a metadata. For example, if a person is from Delhi, the IP location shows that we are tracking the IP for compliance purposes, that the IP says the person is from Delhi. And so instead of Delhi, we'll create a metadata that they are from a urban, they are from an urban place in North India. And so we'll mask the data before sending it to the AI also, and before sending it to the sales team or support team. Different level of access we'll create for the data. Another example, say that the age of your client is say 41-year-old. So instead of telling and you want the and say the client prefers a regional language, so now you want to generate a response from AI that is more appropriate for a 41-year-old versus say a 18-year-old, a teenager. And suppose you have both type of clients. So what you will do, instead of telling the exact age to to the LLM, you'll say that the age group is between say 35 to 45 years.
Okay.
So a layer of metadata is created, and then it's masking. So now I was talking about, so we were talking about knowledge base, but the client persona also becomes very, very important. If you are talking about building custom chatbots for a particular role, then trigger events, like they become very, very important. Like we were talking about e-commerce. So whether which products the client has already browsed, what is the browsing history of the client, okay, whether they have added a particular product in their wish list, okay, whether they have added a particular product on their cart, whether they are trying particular, say, set of discount coupons. So that you can trigger conversation based on particular events also. Like you must have seen, like if you abandon the cart, typically these e-commerce company follow up, like you have a product lying in your cart, it may be out of stock soon, right? So yeah, so trigger events, they are important as well. And you'll need a compliance layer, a security layer, and then of course you'll have some channels. So I just wanted to show you here very quickly. So HDFC Security, like those who are from India, they'll understand that HDFC Security is a very big group. It's a 20,000 crores company, and it is, I mean, it's very good to study their chatbots. So this is the kind of interface this provides. Okay, when I open this, you see there are so many options. It's just written for the second time. Yeah. So whatever the common questions are for the client, it is already showing. And suppose I want to ask them, what are mutual funds? Now see, it is showing a pre-generated list of questions. If I click on a particular question, it will respond instantly. It will not typically use AI to generate the response. So, and by the way, this is how they save their cost also. They don't have to make a call to an LLM every time. So this is a very good study. Then ICICI Direct, that is also a very large among top 5 stockbrokers in India. So they also have a very nice chatbot similarly. So these are like large fintech companies, and we are talking about accuracy. So they have made their chatbots more than 90% accurate. Same, you see. So it shows so many kind of preloaded questions, the common FAQs that the client has. Okay, so I guess now I've answered a lot of questions about what goes in building a chatbot. Yeah. So now let us come again to yeah. So we were talking again to that benchmarking thing, the performance. So we were talking about that Chatbase shows a low accuracy, yet a lot of people use it. Okay, because there are many use cases where a high level of accuracy is not required. For example, sales queries. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just had a quick question on your sheet over there for the different chatbots. Do you have some kind of indication here, or have you looked at from these solutions, which of the chatbots actually allow you to go back and look at the chats with the customers?
Almost all of them do. Okay, so I created a list. I'll by the way share you this list also. So almost all these chatbots, they're allowed to go through the chat history with all your clients, and they'll also give you information that from which channel the client was coming from, whether the client asked a particular question from WhatsApp or through your website or through Instagram. Yeah.
So the chatbot has some kind of like a privacy statement over there saying that all your chats can be viewed.
Yes, they'll do. They'll certainly.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah,
so I'll share these resources. Yes, I'll share these resources. Now let us come into benchmarking. Now like how I'm calculating those scores. So these are some key metrics which are used in the industry. Okay, and now again, if you're talking about testing and benchmarking, so again, sky is the limit. Like people at Google, they'll benchmark NotebookLM in a very different way than how a small company like Chatbase will benchmark its chatbot. Okay, so but let us just say, like, because a lot of people are not here from technical background, let us just say what is most few things that are most important is it should be able to summarize properly. It should be able to answer open-ended question. It should not miss important information when asked about a particular topic. It should understand what is important information. For example, if I'm asking what is Zoho and there is a 200-page document about Zoho, so it should know among those 200 pages what is most important about Zoho. It should about false positives. There should be a classification, quality, overall quality, fluency. So these are some primary metrics. So what I've done is now about benchmarking. So what I did is, and what you can do without going into you can of course automate this also. So I put up a lot of resources. So you can you can create a code and you can do automated testing also. So I'll share this notebook also with you. For example, this resource, it shows you how to actually how to actually or you can automate the evaluation of a chatbot. Okay, but those who don't want to get into so much technicalities like writing code to for automated testing and all, what you can do is you can create a set of prompts like I did. I'll just show you. So I created a set of questions. I created a training data. The training data should be standard for all chatbots. So this is, I created around a 15 MB document which tells about Zoho. So it is basically a scrapped information from the website. So training data should be standard. That is most important for all of for all these. It is around 240 pages. Okay, that is the first thing. Now, based on that, I created a set of prompts, like how just ignore this column, like if you don't want to get into jargon, but how it can differentiate data, how can it check for a particular fact, how it can describe a particular feature, how it can pick a quotation as it is from what you are giving, how it can test, how it can say understand particular patterns, how it can abstract some information from what is given, how it can do some analysis over the information. Then out of scope. So there are around 10 tests, 11 tests for out of scope, because what out of scope means that questions which are not covered in your database, or which are ambiguous, which are vague, because in real world this happens a lot. And what I've seen is like around 1/3 questions coming from client, they cannot be covered in knowledge base, because in any case the knowledge base is going to be being updated dynamically. Like people will always ask something which is not there. Like I showed you my chatbot, someone may ask like, Saurabh, do you like coffee? Or Saurabh, do you like cakes? Okay, so there would always be something which is not covered in the training data. So out of scope, how it handles out of scope questions, that is very, very important. So I've created 11 questions for out of scope testing only. And what are these questions? They are very, very simple prompts. Okay, like for Zoho, I'll ask like, if I want to see whether it can pick word to word, whether it can pick word to word, I'll ask what is the exact phrasing of the tagline used for Zoho CRM pricing on the first page of the pricing document. Okay, this is a example of a question. So let us try asking this to in our Perplexity. And the testing has to be same, for all of them. Now it says, is not explicitly mentioned. Okay, so like I always say, now this was the response from R1. But if we use GPT 4.1, again the response would most likely change. So by the way, I showed you that comparison. I had done that with here with GPT 4.1 in OpenAI Playground. So OpenAI Playground, like you can directly create a chatbot from OpenAI from ChatGPT itself, and you can use like different models there also. So I asked the same question a few days back. It was able to answer. Today is not being able to answer, primarily because of that instructions. So everything matters here. to CRM, we'll go to that. And we'll go through instructions, edit space. Okay. Now let us try asking the same thing again. Now there is another funny thing. I'll just show you. Even if you ask the same question again, we know that the answer may change. Okay. I'm not sure what will happen, but let us just check. Yeah. This time it is able to pick. Sensational software. It is able to pick. And it did not pick complete. So we see if what I did is right now what change I did, I just changed the instructions. Instead of asking it to answer informally, I asked it to go through something factual and then answer. And earlier it was saying I cannot answer this. Now it has answered it. Is this interesting? Hello.
Yes. I think we are all listening into you. So
this is interesting, right? So you see this component where you give it a particular personality, that also matters a lot, on the accuracy. The better instructions we give them, like that is why prompt engineering is important. The better accurate responses we will get. And if you're testing now, like I tested, they should be tested all thoroughly with the same set of instructions. Okay, so again coming to how I was testing them. So this is another example how you define the term leads. Okay, if so clients may ask for a particular definition. What is the role of sales inbox? And they may try to understand a particular feature. Okay, a particular function. A feature is different, function is different. So feature is here. Then secondary fact check, data differentiation. What is the annual per user cost of the professional enterprise editions? Okay. So this is the set of testing questions I'm using. Now let us just get back into discussion mode again. People seem to be thinking very deeply.
I think there's a lot to absorb, right?
Supposed to? Aren't we supposed to?
If there is a lot to observe, I think this session has been a success.
This is actually good. I was just thinking that you'll be benchmarking in a comparative way or something like that. But this is actually nice. So thank you. I like it.
If you want to get into technical details, I'm not covering them here right now. But like if you want to get, then this is like the most comprehensive resource I found on entire internet. So
I think
it
we
talks
can do
about evaluation metrics here.
Depending on how many people are there, maybe we can just do a follow-up or sort and go, deep dive into business. That'll be nice.
Right. But I would like to just give this takeaway to a lot of people. A lot of people think that creating a custom chatbot which answers chats through WhatsApp and through Instagram and through email, there is some effort involved. I just want to make sure to should be informed that there is hardly half an hour of effort involved in that. Yes, and by the way, have a look at this. The integrations with Chatbase allows. So Bubble, Framer, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, Shopify, Slack, Stripe, Sunshine, WireSocket, Webflow. Okay, now look at this is fun. Now, for example, you want to connect your Salesforce, your CRM with your chatbot. So socket connection you can build up as simple as that. No development, absolutely zero coding required. Few clicks and you're done. Like someone was asking when we started this session, someone was talking about lead qualification, lead generation, and all. You can set up an email campaign. You can set up if there is a particular there are some particular sets of keywords in a query that a person has asked. You can have a custom email campaign for them. For example. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so some support related articles are also present in the document, and there's also some pricing related information in the document. So when you create an agent, right? So the pricing related document would be the the total implementation costs and all those kind of things, right? Which may not be accessible or which may not be really meant for the support teams. So in that case, if a support executive asks a question saying that how much is this project worth, then it should not be giving out those numbers. But if a CEO or if a owner of that project asks how much is the project worth and what is the overrun, then it should give out those information saying that X dollars is the cost of the total cost of the project.
Yes.
So is that is what I meant by access control. So in this case, will we be creating different agents, one for the CEO and one for the will the agents be created based on the role and the information they have access to?
Yes, exactly. You can do that. So I'll just show you one thing. So this is what small, like I was showing you the diagram of building a custom chatbot. But this is what all small businesses can do. Okay, just let me show you like one thing. So all of these chatbot providers, they have based on different plans, you can create different number of agents. Okay, so it says 2 AI agents for $150. And let me show you another one. Like there is Fastbots.
So basically, we'll have to create two versions of the document. One is with the pricing and one is without the pricing, and create them as two different agents for two different set of users.
Right.
Okay.
And you can place the chatbot at different places in your website. Now look at this.
Right.
It allows for $57. It allows you to create 5 different chatbots.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so like I'm saying, and you'll probably, if you look around, you'll probably find the same thing someone is offering for $20 also, maybe with some other limitations. Okay, so you can have 5 different chatbots. Now, one chatbot could be sitting on the front of your website handling sales queries. One chatbot could be, in the client area of your website, where people are asking, technical support related questions. Okay, for you could use GPT-4o Mini on the the chatbot which handles sales, and you can, for example, use Claude, Anthropic Claude for the chatbot which handles customer support queries, where more accurate. You need to provide more accurate information. Okay, so just one thing, like I'll share these resources in case you don't get them. You can just drop me a message on LinkedIn. The Notion I was sharing with you, the comparison sheet, the list of all chatbots I was showing to you, everything, like you can contact me on LinkedIn.